Mr. Mortensen, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Please state your name and the property that you are appealing.
My name is R. William Mortensen III, and the property I'm appealing is 24 Morgan Street in Pawcatuck.
Hello, this is Steve Palmer, a member of the Board of Assessment Appeal. We're here with Gisela, Karen, and Pam. We're all here to hear your appeal tonight.
Okay, you have the paperwork I sent you?
We do.
Yeah.
All right, I mean, it's here's the situation: is the town of Stonington has the house appraised at $252,000. I was kind of tickled pink when I saw that, but I went to sell it. I had Tom Switz as the realtor. He did his appraisal and thought 230 would sell the house. We put it on the market for 230. We lowered the price twice with Tom Switz. It sat for 6 months. A lot of people looked at it. Everybody said the problem was no off-street parking. I then, after 6 months, my daughter-in-law got a realty license, so I had her listed for a month at $214,900. People looked at it, and again, the issue was no off-street parking. The house, you can see from the pictures, those are the realtor's pictures. The house had a new roof on it. The interior was painted. The floors are refinished. It was in excellent condition. So the condition of the house wasn't the constraint that was keeping it from selling. Again, the problem is no off-street parking, which obviously affects the value of the house. And that's basically the basis of my appeal.
Okay. All right. We'll look into that for you and make our do a little research. And just maybe one more time. Parking is the issue. It wouldn't sell for under several listings. What's and there is nothing else that you have concerns about the house?
Say that again?
I said you don't have any other concerns. It's mostly just the parking and the fact that it wasn't selling.
Well, that was the reason. That was the reason that was given for people not wanting to buy the house. And when I put it on the market, I was told that the market for homes in that price range was really hot.
Yep.
And if you look at the records, you'll see that a lot of $230,000 houses sold.
Okay.
I don't know about a lot, but it was definitely a good price for selling a house.
Gisela, Karen, or Pam, does anybody have any other questions?
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
Okay, I have one more. My understanding is the way the $252,000 appraisal happens is that basically it's a neighborhood appraisal. It wasn't that the individual house was looked at.
In those cases, we've spent half the night trying to explain all the things that are involved. There's a lot of factors, but I mean there is a neighborhood appraisal, but each house is usually based on its own merits.
And
Okay.
that wasn't really an appraisal, it was a comparative market analysis by the realtor. Yeah. Just want to make sure
That's what Tom Switz did when he came up with $230,000. Obviously, for both he and I, there was profit motivation also. So I will let you ponder. I mean, that's my whole argument in a nutshell: is the house won't sell for significantly less than what the town of Stonington says it's worth, and the house is in perfect shape.
Okay, we will do a little research on this, and we will be making our deliberations next week. And then probably 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, you'll get a letter in the mail with our decision.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yep. Bye. R. William Mortensen
has left the meeting.
Your next appointment on the petition says Ellen Myers, but it's the new owner who just purchased it who's appealing, and they can do that.
The new owner is Waltman?
Yes.
Okay.
So did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes.
Does someone want to make a...
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I second. This is Pam.
Stephen, I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Stephen, aye.
Steve, I wanted to make sure that you knew we had the 3 no-shows last night. One called this morning and said she couldn't connect for some reason. So I gave her an appointment May 11th, the first appointment, as we had discussed.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear anything from the other 2 that didn't show up.
And who was that again?
It's Freeman that called.
Yes, personal property.
Yep.
I'm going to mute myself because I'm going to eat a cracker. I'll be back.
Awfully quiet tonight.
I know it.
It's too nice outside.
You should take our computers outside.
Yeah.
We may have a lot of no-shows tonight at this rate.
I hope not. They're all going to want to come in Monday.
I know it.
Minor Myers
has joined the meeting.
Mr. Myers, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Please state your name and the property that you are appealing.
Sure. My name is Minor Myers, and the property whose appraisal we're appealing is 68 Main Street, Stonington, Connecticut.
Hello, this is Steve Palmer, one of the board members of the Assessment Appeals. Along with me is Gisela, Karen, and Pam. We're here to hear your appeal.
Terrific. Well, thank you for agreeing to do this by phone and for following through with it. I'm glad to be able to do it, and I appreciate that you guys are flexible in doing it. I sent in conjunction with filing the appeal, some supplemental materials. I don't know if those are available to you, but I'll summarize them and the grounds for our appeal briefly, and then I'm happy to take any questions you've got.
Great.
Our property is appraised, as you may know, by the town at slightly more than $1 million. And we purchased the property last May after the deadline for filing an appeal. And the grounds for our appeal are threefold. There are really the grounds for us thinking that, that number is too high, are threefold. We have three other sort of signals. The first is our purchase price. We purchased the property in an arm's length transaction from sellers who were seeking to get the most they could. They used an experienced local broker and marketed the property for a considerable period of time. And we arrived at our transaction, which involved nothing but the property, after substantial negotiations. And so, the price itself was reflective, in our view, of the fair market value of the property. And the purchase price was $715,000, so substantially below the town's appraised value. The other indicator of value that we've relied on is a third-party professional appraisal prepared in conjunction with our mortgage loan. That appraisal, again, from about last spring, came in at $735,000, slightly more than the purchase price, but again, substantially below the town's appraisal. And then the third thing we've done to try and see how our appraisal lines up with how other properties are appraised in town, because it may be that all towns are appraised substantially above the purchase price, in which case, we're being treated like everybody else. But we wanted to see, to what extent are we, is our property, our appraised value in line with how other appraised values sit in comparison to the purchase price. So we looked at a number of sales between about 2 years before when we bought our house until, as recently as I could when preparing the petition to the board. And what we found was that on average, the town's appraised value was about 14% lower than the sales price. So in our view, that suggests that our appraised value is quite out of line with the fair market value of the property. In particular, sort of the way the town ends up, the way the town's appraisals end up lining up with purchase prices tend to be, the appraisals tend to be lower than the purchase price, but again, ours is more than 40% more than our purchase price. So, we put a number in our petition that just blended these three approaches together and requested a value of, I think, $689,000. But our more general point is we think the number is not just off by a little, but is really off by a considerable amount.
Okay. Are there any other points you'd like to make at this time?
That, I think, is all. But I'm happy to take any questions if you've got any.
Gisela, Karen, or Pam, does anybody have a question?
Don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
No question.
Okay, well, we'll be doing our due diligence on this next week. We'll make our decisions, and then 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, you'll receive in the mail a letter stating if there's any change or no change.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you for the hearing, and thank you for, again, doing this by phone. I appreciate it very much.
Okay. You have a good night.
You too. Bye. Minor Myers
has left the meeting.
He did a lot of work on his comparisons, I have to say.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. To have the three approaches.
And I was worried that the appeals were all going to back up.
Not tonight.
Yes, you needn't have worried.
I guess not. At this rate, we may have more no-shows than anything else.
No, maybe it's just too beautiful outside.
Brian Shane
has joined the meeting.
Mr. Shane, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Would you please state your name and the property that you're appealing?
Brian Shane, 8 Montauk Avenue.
Hello, Mr. Shane. This is Steve Palmer. I'm on the Board of Assessment Appeal. I'm here with Gisela, Karen, and Pam, and we're all here to listen to your appeal tonight.
Okay, thank you. I did send some documentation. I don't know if you received it or not.
Yes.
Excellent.
Do you want to touch on some highlights, or is there anything else you want to make note to us?
Yes, I was hoping that an assessor would have came out and looked at the property, but I understand because of the 19 COVID-19 that's not possible. So I did take pictures, and I know they don't show justice of the condition of that property. But as you can see, though, I will be taking the property down, and I was looking for some consideration and tax relief in the interim.
I did receive some pictures of the foundation, water leaks, and a few things like that.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
The roof leaks. We tried to actually build incorporating that house, but that was not possible due to the condition and the structural condition of the foundation. It has horizontal cracks about, I would say, 60% of the way around it, and then multiple vertical cracks, and also crumbling in one corner. The windows are all shot. They all leak. The roof leaks. And there's numerous rot throughout the property.
Okay. All right. Is there any other items about the house you'd like to tell us about at this time?
No, that about sums it up.
Okay. Gisela, Karen, or Pam, does anybody have any other questions?
This is Gisela. I have just one. The house has not been demoed yet, right? It's still there.
That's correct.
Okay.
It is still there, yes. those pictures were taken just a couple days ago. They're
Okay.
very recent.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. We're going to be doing our due diligence on your appeal next week, and 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, you will receive a letter in the mail with our decision.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Okay. You have a good night.
All right. You also. Thank you. Brian Shane
has left the meeting.
I have a question maybe for Adele. When a house is demoed, how does that affect the assessment on the next assessment year?
If a house is demoed because of an act of nature, lightning strike, a fire, or something like that, if the building official says it can't be fixed and they have to take it down to grade, we can prorate the building assessment off to the date of the act of nature. If somebody buys a piece of property or gets a house and decides to demolish it to build a new one, they're going to be charged on October 1st for what is there. The house will not be prorated off, but when the new assessment comes on for the new house after the CO, they get that adjustment they paid taxes on a portion of the house, so they will only pay a proration on the added value for the time it was there.
I know how the added value works. I just wasn't sure how the demolition worked. That part of it works.
Yeah, the only time we can prorate off is if because there was an act of nature that damaged the house beyond repair, and they have so many days to grade it, remove it and grade it, and then we can prorate it.
Okay, so if he takes this down tomorrow, it's not going to be prorated. It's just there until the next October.
Right, and then the next October, there'll be a new assessment.
Okay.
Deborah Schlachter Hall has joined the meeting.
Ms. Hall, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name and the property that you are appealing.
Deborah Schlachter Hall, and the property is 323 River Road, Pawcatuck, Connecticut. It's actually under my company's name, not my name. It's Seaglass Properties, LLC.
Okay. Hi, this is Steve Palmer. I'm one of the members of the Board of Tax Review, along with Gisela, Karen, and Pam, and we're all here to listen to your appeal on this personal property, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. Do you just want to give us a quick briefing on your appeal?
Absolutely. So I actually don't even have an office in my home. I opened up that account just so I could I'm a realtor. So I opened up the account so I could put my commission checks in it. And I have an office at Switch Real Estate, so I don't really have an office here to do business at my home.
Okay. And you said it was Switch Realty?
Yes, sir.
Gisela, Karen, or Pam, does anybody have an additional question?
No, I have no question.
I have no questions.
Okay. We'll be doing our decisions next week, and 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, you'll receive a letter in the mail showing what our decision was.
Okay.
Do you have any
All
other
right.
questions?
Well, I thank you for your time.
Moment?
No, sir. No, I have no other questions.
All right. You have a good night.
You also stay healthy.
You too.
Bye. Deborah Schlachter Hall
has left the meeting.
Art Chirac.
Has joined the meeting.
Mr. Chirac, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Please state your name and the property that you're appealing.
Arthur Chirac and Karen Chirac, 32 Coveside Lane, Stonington, Connecticut, 06378.
Hello, this is Steve Palmer, one of the board members of the Board of Assessment of Appeals, and I'm also here with Gisela, Karen, and Pam, all board members. We're here to listen to your appeal.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Karen. I'm here with Art.
And really 3 points that we would like to raise, and then I'll come back to the end in a summary. Number one, the average assessment that we believe that over the town was 8%. The average within Stonington Landing, the condo complex that we live in, was 16%. Ours was a 31% increase, which we feel was excessive. Number two, from a reasonable comparison, that we have 2 units that are, excuse me for 1 second.
1 unit, yeah. We have 1 unit within the complex that is very similar to ours in square footage and in amenities that it has. And that unit, number 23, which is a few doors down, which is 1,772 square feet. It's a little bit smaller than ours, about 10 square feet. But that was assessed at $223,000 versus ours that was assessed at $273,400. So we felt that that was quite a discrepancy when we're looking at similar properties in the complex. Within the complex, when we looked at units that had the same assessed value, there were 2 that we found that were much larger. So one is right next to us, but it's 187 square feet larger. It has 3 floors. The 3rd floor has full-size windows, so it could be used as a 3rd bedroom, as an office. People have put another bathroom up there. that was assessed at almost the exact same value as us. I think it was $600 more. And then there was another unit in our same area of the complex assessed at about $3,000 more. That was 191 square feet larger. It has an attached garage, and again, it has a room over the garage that could be used as an office, as a third bedroom, and it's also an end unit.
Coincidentally, both of those units on the assessment came in at $139 per square foot versus ours, Karen, that came in at what?
$153.
$153
per square foot. So again, quite a discrepancy there in the increase in our assessment and looking at properties that had the same assessment value. And then our third point to make is the recent sales data. How much have similar properties sold for? And we're looking, again, in the complex. The first data point that we have is the unit that is right next to us.
Number 31.
So it's number 31, sold on November 1st, 2019, for $360,000. So this unit is very similar in style. It's a little bit larger, 90 square feet larger, and it does have a very desirable view. And I think I sent in, you should have gotten with my reason for appeal letter, a look at what our view is, and we're calling it a compromise view because we are one of only two properties in Stonington Landing that look at another unit. So most of them either have water views, pond views, or they have grass views. So with our view, our back wall is very high to try to I guess, block the other unit, whereas everyone else is low because they do have a very desirable view. I had another recent sales data. There weren't many that were sold, but in 2017, again, a few doors down, number 26 sold for $325,000. A little bit smaller unit at 1720 square feet, very desirable view. And then one piece of new data that I did not have when I sent this to the Board of Appeals is now unit number 34, which is 2 doors down for us. So a unit right next to us and a unit 2 doors down sold, and that sold on March 18th, 2020 for $385,000. It's an end unit. It's 220 square foot larger. It actually has an additional third full bath. And when I looked at the recent sales data, they were all suggesting approximately $191 to $192 per square foot when you looked at the sales data. The appraisal that we currently have at $390,600 is $218 per square foot. Again, significantly higher.
So I think we're recommending a sale assessment of what, Karen?
The assessment that we feel is reasonable is $248,500. Okay, and that is still an 18% increase from the prior assessment. And I would like to note that the prior assessment, we were not under assessed. Okay, it wasn't like there was any catch-up that we needed there. I feel that the units that are assessed at our value, around $274,000, are much larger. Comparable size units to us are assessed at a much lower rate. And I think a very important question, can I sell my property for the appraised amount of $390,600? The answer to that would be no. Based on very recent sales data, and the units are very close to us, we're looking at $191 per square foot. And the estimate that I've given you for my appraised value of $355,000, I feel $355,000 is fair for the unit, is even a higher square footage value of $199 per square foot. So therefore, we are asking that our appraisal be reduced from $390,600 to $355,000 for a fair and equitable assessment value of $248,500.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add this time?
No, do you have any questions?
I don't think so. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Karen, Gisela, or Pam, does anybody have a question?
I have no question.
Okay, we did get your pictures here, which shows the side of the other condominium, and we do have your appeal, so we'll be making our decisions next week. And in a couple of weeks after that, you'll get something in the mail giving our decision, change or no change. And if you don't have any other questions, I think we're all set for today.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity and for your attention. We appreciate it.
All right. You all have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Art Chirac
has left the meeting.
Michael Smith
has joined the meeting.
Mr. Smith, can you hear me?
I can.
Please state your name and the property that you're appealing.
Michael Smith, 50 Church Street, Stonington.
Hello, Michael Smith. Steve Palmer here from the Board of Assessment Appeal, and I'm also here with Gisela, Karen, and Pam, and we're here to hear your appeal.
Okay, thank you. Congrats for you guys being on time. I think your admin was weary that you might be behind, but that's great. And thank you for the opportunity to appeal this. How much time do I have for my appeal?
You have about 10 minutes.
Okay. So, as a frame of reference, I know we're not face-to-face, but just a little background on me. I grew up in the area. I went to Ledgwood High School, have a lot of friends in the area, went off to Boston, and sort of was hoping to come back and settle in the area, and this was a property that I bought and renovated, thinking that would be the case. Unfortunately, things didn't work out in that way. But my career, I've just recently retired, but my career up in Boston was actually in commercial real estate. I did most of my work was in investment sales and running a commercial real estate firm up there. But the majority of my expertise happens to be in valuation. And it was kind of funny. I was talking with some of my friends back in the area who live in Mystic, Stonington, Ledyard, et cetera, and whatnot. And at one point when I was still working, one of them said, "You should really take a look at your taxes." And I said, "Yeah, I know." But they felt okay because I was up in the Boston area and didn't give them much, thought. But after that, after I retired, I started looking at it, and I respect the assessment approach, but I started to look at. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to look at the exhibits that I put together. I started to look at how my property compared to the rest of the market, and it was very obvious to me. In a number of different ways that I sort of sliced and diced it, that my taxes were not consistent with market, and having sat on appraisal boards as a commercial real estate person and whatnot, I know there is variance, if you will. But I think that when I sort of dug into this, it sort of needed to be addressed, which is why I'm before you today, asking for my appeal. You got the appraisal, obviously.
Yes.
And I think that in summary, before going, I don't know how much detail you want to go into. If you look at Exhibit A, we've got the time. I might as well take it, I guess. Exhibit A really focused on what's sold recently and how my taxes compare to the rest of the market. I think the most, there was a sale, 1 Church Street, which was right up the street from me. Didn't have water views, obviously, much smaller house, but it sold for $1.55 million in the taxes, which was 82% of what I'm asking for on my sale right now. My house has been on the market for 5 years, and I've heard consistently from the buyers that, well, we love the house, but the taxes are too high, and so it's become a burden to me in the sales process, which is my biggest concern, because I'd like to sell it. Obviously, it's very expensive to carry. So you look at 1 Church Street, and they sold for 82% of my valuation, my now ask, which is way below my basis, but that basis I understand has nothing to do with value. But their taxes were only 39%. And then I look at all the listings on the market in Stonington currently that are in excess of $1 million. And I look at those and I say, okay, so what's the burden for each of these respective properties? And there's a big database there. I mean, this is not a small data sort. There's a lot of properties there, and as you can see, the assessments are all over the place. As is what I would call the burden, which is the tax amount for the tax bill, if you will, over the value or price. And the weighted average, the average of all those is the 0.011. And shame on me. I worked hard at updating the sales and the listings, but I didn't update my most recent tax bill. My most recent tax bill is actually higher than the 34,482. It's 35,533, which puts me at a burden of 0.019, which I feel is way above what it should be when I compared myself to the rest of the market, not only for the properties that are sold, but what's on the market. And I feel like that's really the essence of my appeal, is that I'm being compared, in summary, to waterfront properties where I'm not waterfront. I'm being compared to properties that have beach access. I don't have any beach access. I'm being compared, my taxes are comparable in an excess of many waterfront properties that have access, they have waterfront, they have docks. I have none of that. I don't have a pool. And I guess I really question the assessment of my property, and that's why we're here today.
Okay.
Are there any questions on the Exhibit ABC, why I sort of organized it the way I did? I don't know how much time you have to really focus on the various information that people submit.
We look and review, and then we spend our time next week doing our research when we make our decision process.
Fair enough,
mostly
Steve.
Tonight's here to gather as much information as possible and give you a chance to highlight any certain areas that you want to.
So I feel like I walked you pretty thoroughly through Exhibit A. Exhibit B is sort of a subset of Exhibit A, where it really looks at, of the recent activity over the last 9 or so 12 months, that have assessments in excess of $1.1 million. How did I compare? And you can see again that the averages are very different than what my tax burden is. Happy to answer any questions there. This is based off the assessments of properties in town in excess of $1.1 million. I'm not sure how you. I know you put most of your weight on your appraised value and then your assessment, but I guess I'm questioning the assessment, right? And then Exhibit C looks at, so what are the top sort of, 9, 10 taxpayers in town, and how does my market value, if you will, I mean, no one can doubt my market value. It's no more than 1.9. I've been on the market for 5 years, right? And when you look at my market value versus my assessment and my taxes, it doesn't make any sense to me. And so that's why I feel like that a fair assessment to me would be, in the 22, 23. I'm happy to pay it. It's a lot of money still, but I'm happy to pay it. I think that's a fair market tax burden, and you back into whatever the assessment is. I have no idea. I could,
Has joined the meeting.
Is he a member of the board or?
No, that would be our next appeal.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So you've given us plenty to look at here, and we will be doing our due diligence on your property. Gisela, Karen, or Pam, does anybody have any additional questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, and I don't have any other questions for you at this time. Is there anything else you want to quickly add?
No, I again appreciate the opportunity to make this appeal and welcome any as you did dig into it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions and hear your thoughts.
All right, very good. As I said, next week we will be doing our research and making our decisions, and then 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, you'll receive a letter in the mail stating whether there's change or no change. Okay.
So it's via the mail. There's no email or anything like that.
Yeah, the letter is sent out to the. I believe it will be. Is it 5 Tillinghast Drive, Hingham, Massachusetts?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, good enough.
Thank you.
All right, you
appreciate your time.
Okay.
Bye.
Mr. Thorpe, can you hear me?
Michael Smith?
Has left the meeting.
Good evening. This is Christopher Thorpe. Tom Welch, can you hear me?
Can you state
Has
your
joined the
name
meeting.
and the property that you're appealing?
We are appealing, and my wife Elizabeth is here as well. We are appealing property 70 Tipping Rock Road, Matt Block Lot 80-1-3.
Okay. Hi, this is Steve Palmer, and we have Gisela, Karen, and Pam here also. We're all board members of the Assessment of Appeals.
Thank you for being here tonight. I know it's not an easy time to get folks together and do stuff.
We appreciate your time in considering this appeal. I understand the reassessment was triggered by some renovation work we had done on the house. And when the new card came for preview, we noticed a number of inaccuracies that we wanted to have corrected.
Okay.
You have the, Chris had gone through and kind of outlined some of the points and the measurements that were off in his email. I think that you may have an email there, but he was going to go over some of the points if that's what's most helpful.
No, that'd be great for the minutes of the record.
Okay, great. So the first one was the deck, right?
The deck. We took off an old deck and replaced it with a smaller deck. The tax card had a square footage of deck from the previous version, and it included 2 subsets. But the net gain was a net gain when actually we decreased the size of the deck area by over 200 square feet. So we wanted the square footage to reflect the accurate measurement. I submitted the tax card with a circled dimension. There seems to be an added dimension that came on with the new tax card. And I've also submitted the building plans that we constructed from. You can see that most of the numbers are accurate except for this random new dimension, and that accounts for the square footage. The random dimension's an extra 16 linear feet on one side of the deck that doesn't exist.
So the actual square footage of the deck, Chris, that's the 524?
What was the square footage again?
The new total square footage is 524. The card calls it out at
784.
Yeah. So
that was the first thing that we wanted to correct. And it is an oddly shaped deck, so maybe in measuring it somehow that's how, because it's an oddly shaped house. So, but it as you can see from the drawings, we removed a lot of the old deck, and just to be economical, we put some things back smaller. So so that was the first point that was there. Are there any questions on that, or is that?
No.
Okay.
The second point is that they show on the card that a new shed was added to the property. We did not add a new shed. We had a temporary storage unit that is no longer on the property, so I think we can demonstrate that just needs to go away. And that's listed on the card as shed frame SHD1 at 135 square feet. It was a temporary pod that's gone.
Okay.
And then
And the dimensions that showed up on the card were the same dimensions of the rented storage pod, so we're pretty confident that must be what they were referring to.
And then there are, 2 references to accessory structures. One's called a miscellaneous porch, and one's called the original shed frame structure. Both of those had no change whatsoever or improvements, but yet the square footage on both of those has been increased. So I just would like it to reflect that no changes were done to those 2 structures. And so that's the first one's called miscellaneous porch. It's basically a gazebo with no walls, but it has a roof that remained identical. And then there's a very small shed that also had no changes. So the square footage on both of those increased.
On the card, incorrectly.
Yeah, on the card.
And then the last thing was they showed a patio, which we didn't add a patio. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, the 5th point is that on the card it shows a new patio being added, and no new patios were added. We did replace the front walkway in kind, but it's the same square footage. It's in a different location, but it's still stairs and landings to get to the front door.
Uh-huh.
And I think, it's not a big volume, but I think to be accurate, we should not have it on there.
We're not sure that's what it refers to, but I can't think of anything else. So.
Right. Well, we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Any other items?
Nope, it was all on the outside of the house. It was just a matter of the measurements not adding up and sheds that didn't exist. And
we'd just like it to reflect an accurate assessment.
Sure.
It did motivate me to clear out the storage pod, but anyway.
All right.
Took a quarantine to do that.
Okay.
Any follow-up questions?
Yeah, are there any questions about the measurements on the deck or anything? Because I know that those drawings are, we're hoping that the card also can have the corrected measurements there.
Yeah, I mean, if we have any questions on that, we can do a follow-up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Gisela, Karen, or Pam, do you have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Great.
Okay.
Well, that was quick. We saw the long list of people you had tonight, so we tried to be concise.
All right, so we're going to do our decision-making next week, and within 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, you'll receive a letter in the mail if there's any kind of change or no change. And if you don't have any other questions for us, I guess we're all set for tonight.
All right.
I think my one really quick question is just, is it correct that this change was based on our construction? That's what this was triggered by, I think.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of the evening.
Thank you again.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Christopher Thorpe
has left the meeting.
Mr. Welch, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Would you please state your name and the property that you're appealing?
Tom Welch, 36 Cliffside Lane.
Hi, this is Steve Palmer, and I'm here with Gisela, Karen, and Pam, and we're all here from the Board of Tax Appeal, and we're here to listen to your appeal.
Thank you.
If you would like to highlight... appeal?
Yes, well, so first of all, we have to apologize for a typo in the summary sheet where it talks about in the second paragraph, it says best comp, including the MLS sheet for a recent sale. It
Brian
says
Zero
36 has joined the meeting.
Oops. Hello?
Oh, yep, continue it.
Oh, so in the second paragraph there, it says best comp, including the MLS sheet from a recent sale. We typed in 36 Cove Side and described it as 2-bedroom, 3.5 bath. The property that is the comparison is actually 34 Cove Side. So my apologies for that typo. Hopefully that's not a big thing. But so the appraised value that you have for 36 Cove Side is $448,500 or $233 per square foot. The total area of 36 Cove Side Lane is 1,920 square feet. The best comparison is a property at 34 Cove Side Lane, which sold in March for $385,000. That property was appraised at $406,000 or $202 per square foot. The sold price of $385 actually translates to $191 a square foot, or a 22% delta. Further down the page, we have some other comparisons: 33 Cove Side, 38 Cove Side, 35 Cove Side, and 23 Cove Side. These properties have an average square foot of $197 per square foot, and I just think that we're a little bit out of line. But if you were to take the average of those four properties at a $197 per square foot, and an appraised value for 36 Cove Side would work out at about $378. So we're simply asking for you to consider this information and move forward from there. Thank you.
Okay. Gisela, Karen, or Pam, does anyone have any questions at this time?
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
Okay, we'll be doing our decision-making next week, and we will do our due diligence with your parcel of property here, and Once we do come with a decision, 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, there will be a letter that comes in the mail and with a decision.
Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Yep.
Tell them I'm coming on.
Ann Haig is coming on. She's dialing in right now on a different phone.
Mr. Zero, can you hear me?
Your access code or meeting number followed by pound.
I'm sorry, I'm dialing in right now.
Mr. Zero, can you hear me?
Hi, yeah, this is Brian Zero.
Would you please state your name and the property that you're appealing?
Hi, yeah, my name is Brian Zero. The address to the property is 223 Jerry Brown Road.
Hi, this is Steve Palmer. I'm on the Board of Assessment of Appeals, and I'm also here with Gisela, Karen, and Pam.
Anne-Marie Haig
has joined the meeting.
I don't know if you caught the last part there. We were having another call coming in. Gisela, Karen, and Pam, and myself, Steve Palmer, are all here to your appeal.
Okay.
Has left the meeting.
Okay, so...
Okay, good enough. Do you want to tell us about your appeal at this time?
Sure, thanks. Thanks to everybody for doing this, especially at this kind of a crazy time, pulling this together. Our property is to the address 223 Jerry Brown Road. On Jerry Brown Road, we happen to be the house, many of you may be familiar with it, right next to the new Perkins Farm development, next to the property, the residential side, not the hospital side. We moved to town about 2 summers ago, did a house search. This was the house we bought. So we see it. We moved in here. I think I sent the property card in here. We closed on July 23rd last summer, 2019. And you see the sales price that we paid here was $520,000. The town currently has the appraised value of this house at $648,300. Just a little bit about the house and the sales process. The house is originally built in 1830. When we moved in, we found some old blueprints from the early 1940s. That is probably pretty accurate when the house was redone. So a fair estimate is that most of what's here in the house is about 75 years old, including the finishes, the kitchen. The plumbing seems to be about 75 years old. Maybe some of the electric's been updated. The house was really well marketed. We learned of the house and found it through a series of open houses, which were packed with people. It's an interesting-looking property, but there were no buyers except for us. That's a long way to say I think it was a very vigorous, well-marketed property at the time. We had no relationship to the owner or anything. We came in brand new to town for a few months. So I would say that the price that we paid is fairly accurate, except for one part, which is that we did go through a protracted negotiation on and off with the previous owner for quite some time. He was disturbed and I think a little agitated about what he perceived to be a higher value of the property. And basically, at the end of the whole thing, given our situation and faced with the specter of having to rent for another year, we actually said, fine, instead of paying $30,000 in rent, we'll give you an extra $30,000. So that's for the benefit of our family and being settled. That's where we came out. So I do think that that sales price was fairly accurate, but for that little piece, they did try to at the very end, push it around to other people to see if there were any other buyers. The realtor said they could not get another single bid over $500. So that put us as the lucky winners, and we're enjoying our house now. I did happen to also include in the package. Hopefully you received it. One comparison, which was actually our runner-up house for us personally. The address is 37 Lords Hill Road. Hopefully you're able to see that. Very similar style house, very similar age. I think that was a little bit older, 1800, but has been a little bit more recently renovated than ours here in Jerry Brown. very close competitor for us. Like I say, that was actually our number one choice, but they were further kind of behind, if you will, or they were newer on the market, and their price wasn't really realistic. And again, given our sort of personal circumstance, we said they're just not going to be ready to sell it at that kind of the market value of the house. So we missed that, but eventually sold about 6 months too late. Again, we needed our kids in school. And you see that actually sold in December of 2019 for $450,000. House, again, very similar in size, actually a little bit bigger than ours. That's right at the top of Lord's Hill. Nicer, arguably, in some respects, because it does have a water view right over Lord's Point and out that direction. But I think, in fact, my wife and I had that conversation, a year and a half ago. I said, I think these two are basically worth the same amount. So given those two, and given certainly the price that we paid, the market price, and sort of the situation, and that very strong comp, I'm of the view that I think our house is probably a fair appraisal value is at $475,000.
Okay.
With that, any questions? I'm happy to answer. I really appreciate the time and attention.
You select Karen or Pam. Does anybody have any additional questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay. I don't have any questions for you myself. And let's see, next week we'll be doing our decision making. And then within a couple of weeks after that, you should receive something in the mail stating whether there was a change or no change.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. You have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Ms. Hay, can you hear me?
Brian Zero.
Has left
Yes,
the
I
meeting.
can. Can you hear me?
Please state your name and the property that you are appealing.
This is Ann Haig, also known as Anne Marie Haig. It's 73 Water Street in Stonington.
Hi, this is Steve Palmer, and I'm here with Gisela, Karen, and Pam, and we're here. We're all part of the Board Assessment Appeal, and we're here to listen to your appeal.
Great, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for doing all this in this situation. So 73 Water Street, I think you're fairly familiar with. It is a large house, and it has a fair-sized piece of property. The town card has the property size as 0.17 acres. Do you have the summary page that I sent you, by the way?
I do.
Yes. Okay. And did you also get the pictures from the house?
That was yeah.
When did you email, Ann, when did you email them to the town?
I talked to Masha today. The JPEGs went today. I think Adele got them probably around noon today or so.
This is Adele. I was not here at 2:00, and we didn't get any emails till almost 3:00. So I don't believe that they got them. I have them here. We'll get them out tomorrow if the board members don't have them.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Yeah, Masha called me and told me that she did receive them. So, so backing up. So the property is 0.17 acres. And on the town card, they have the value of just the land at $395,000. So I pulled the comps for similar sized properties in the borough and found the closest one was 99 Water Street, which is Deb Cotton's house, and it's significantly less in terms of the value. So let's see, what was that one? So hers is her land size is the same, and it's 262,000 versus mine, which is like 395. So doing some of the parts, my land is overvalued. And then if you look at the house, they have the value of my house at $131 a square foot. I don't know if you're familiar with the history of this, but I went through a 10-year court battle for this house. And there was about 10 years of deferred maintenance, including broken pipe and all sorts of things. So you'll see that in the pictures when you look at them. I have 3 ceilings that basically need to be replaced because of broken pipes. There are several bathrooms that don't work. The kitchen is 1950s era, and it does not have gas to the stove. I actually cook on a hot plate, believe it or not. So if you look at the sum of the parts, the value per square foot is $131, and the nearest comp I could get was a house I actually sold, which was Ann Ryan's house at 165 Water. That's that one on the left as you come into the borough just after the library. It's a big house, and it's in similar condition. It's similar in that there's plaster work that needs to be done. It's all old knob and tubing, as is my house. It's original plumbing. And that one is appraised at $78 a square foot. So the 165 Water has the added value of the Indulge Coffee House, which is in good shape, and the apartment above it is in very good shape. So my argument is that if you look at the sum of the parts, my land value should be significantly reduced, and then the price per square foot should be significantly reduced. Furthermore, I paid $400,000. I bought out my ex-husband for a total of $400,000, and that was established by our advisor, Lucia Johnstone, had us reduce the price of the house to an asking price of I think $600, and we had an arm's length offer, which is part of the package, at $400,000. So I bought out my ex-husband at $400,000. And then as part of that process, Greg Erb came in and did an appraisal during the divorce, and he came up with, I think, $600 or $650 for the value of the property. So if you add all these things up, I think we're significantly over appraised. 600 was Greg Erb's number. So I think we're grossly over appraised in terms of the value and the condition. The condition is pretty bad. And I did have some insurance proceeds, but my ex-husband took me to court, and he wanted half of the insurance proceeds, so I cannot finish the work that was started. So the condition's quite bad. Any questions?
No, I don't at the moment. Gisela, Karen, or Pam, does anybody have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
I mean, if you'd like to come over and actually see the condition, I'd be more than happy to have you over 6 feet away. So you're more than welcome to come over.
All right, and we'll also be able to see. You sent some additional pictures, I believe, right?
Yes, I sent them today. So I think there's 6 photos. It's mostly things like when I've had broken pipes, that come through the plaster ceilings, and those aren't replaced. And a couple of the bathrooms are not usable because of the broken copper as well. And then the kitchen is 1950s era. And I don't have gas to the kitchen because I would have to run it under the garage and that sort of thing. So there's all sorts of sort of unusable parts of the house that are not taken into consideration when you look at the condition of the house on the town card.
Okay, and we'll have those pictures for our deliberations, which are happening next week.
Okay.
And then several weeks after that, 2 to 3 weeks, you'll receive a notice in the mail on our decision.
Terrific. You have my email address, and so if you have any additional questions, I'll be happy to help you.
Absolutely. Okay, if you don't have anything else for us tonight, this will conclude our hearing on 73 Water Street.
Great. Thank you for your help.
Okay. You have a good night.
You too. Thanks. Bye. How do you shut it off?
Just hang up.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
Anne-Marie Haig
has left the meeting.
Yeah, I've got the pictures. They're on my email. They came in about 3 o'clock, and I had left at 2, so I'll get those emailed to you and get them up on the website tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Adele,
Yep.
Stephen here. Williams Mystic, the last one for tonight.
Yes.
Seaport Museum. For the life of me, I must have accidentally cleared it out of my downloads. Do you know what night that was, or what day that was sent? Or anybody?
No.
What day it was?
Sent to you?
I can't find it on my my iPad.
I don't know. We had the...
Danielle Bell has joined the meeting.
You want to take this one and then I will see if what I can find for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Miss Bell, can you hear us?
Yes.
Please state your name and what you're here to appeal.
It's Danielle Bell, and I'm appealing the evaluation of property assessment of my business.
Hi, Danielle Bell. This is Steve Palmer, and you're, along with myself, Gisela, Karen, and Pam are here. We're all board members of the Board of Assessment Appeals for Stonington.
Okay, hello.
Hi. So you can go ahead and start with your appeal. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so basically, I never received the paperwork that was supposed to be sent to me about the personal property declaration. So I ended up receiving a notice of increase and also like the penalty paperwork and stuff like that. It says that the current assessment for the property is $14,823. That, I believe, includes the penalty of the $2,965. The property that I bought the business in April 2019, and when I bought it, the equipment within the place was already, it was purchased in 2008, so it had already pretty much depreciated to its full extent. In 2008, the property value, I have the paperwork from the original owners, and in 2008, they bought it for $20,000. Since then, I have gotten rid of some of the equipment. They took some of the equipment, and I never replaced any equipment. I had no need to. So that's where I ended up getting a depreciation value of somewhere closer to $5,100 versus the $14,000 and change.
Okay. Just bear with me a second.
Sure.
I'm just looking for, you sent in a updated, what your thoughts are on updated evaluation of the equipment you have?
Yes, I sent in just the appeal paperwork because, of course, as soon as this happened, then COVID-19 hit, so nothing else was, submitted or anything. I was told to just hang tight. But yeah, I did submit the appeal, and I did put in the new.
Has joined the meeting.
I did put in the new value of $5,100 in personal property.
Okay.
That was, I got that by the property that was removed and depreciation down to the 30% that was written on the town paperwork that they gave me that it would depreciate to over all this time.
Okay, I see your petition and it lists $5,100.
Yes.
And maybe Gisela, Karen, or Pam, do you have a list, an itemized list? Am I not seeing that?
No, I didn't get an itemized.
Has joined the meeting.
There is no, I never provided an itemized list. They never mentioned anything about an itemized list.
That's why there's a penalty, because she didn't file.
Okay, right. But I didn't know if I didn't know if there was an updated one or a itemized one. I think we're going to need an itemized list. That would better help us decide on what the true evaluation should be.
Okay.
Adele?
Yes?
How should we go forward with this and getting this paperwork?
I would say you can email it to the office and I can forward it on.
Okay. I don't have any receipts or anything for this for the property that's in there. It's been there since 2008. So is it just a list that you want?
If you could make a list of what you have in there, how many mirrors, how many chairs, and that the like of that, dryers, that kind of stuff. And did you have, when you purchased the business, did you have a purchase price that your accountant assigned to the assets?
No, it was mostly I worked there for several years, and I was pretty much taking over what they had left behind and the space.
Okay, but when you purchased it and set up your own books for your business, did you have a CPA who did a fixed asset allotment for what you paid for the business?
No.
Okay.
Nope. We just agreed on something together about what they provided me their property tax forms from 2008, what they had up to a couple years into it, and how they depreciated it, and that's where we sort of came up with the value of the equipment, and then we, based the rest on the clientele and the space.
If you've got any from the sale, if you've got any documentation of how they allotted to assets and how much they allotted to the intangibles like the list of customers, anything like that, if you can provide that, would be helpful.
Okay. Yep, I can get that for you.
Do you have our email?
No, I do not.
Let me give that to you.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
It's assessor, ASSESSOR, at Stonington-CT.gov, G-O-V.
Okay. So I will get that together for you and have that emailed over.
As soon as you can, at least by Thursday?
Sure.
Okay.
I can get it together tomorrow.
Oh, that'll be perfect.
That'd be great, because we are making our decisions next week, so
okay.
getting getting that in as soon as possible is the best, so we can actually take a look and see what we can do for you.
Okay.
Going forward, this has to be filled out each year at the end of October.
Has to be
Okay, yep.
has to be received by November 1st.
And
And they go out in October, you just said?
We mailed them the last week of September, and they're due by November 1st.
Okay, because I did not receive that at all, but I have a history of having problems with the mail there, so that way I know to be on the lookout for it.
The other thing you can do is in your email, if you want us to change your mailing address to your home address, just let us know and we can do that.
Currently, I already changed my mailing address to my home address
Okay.
through the post office, and I almost didn't get the mail letter telling me to make this call because my mailman still is delivering mail wherever he wants to. It doesn't go to, some goes to my house, some goes to the salon, some goes to the next door neighbor. So that won't work.
Okay.
I will be on the lookout for it, or at least call in and be, diligent to make sure I get it next year.
All right, good enough. We'll be on the lookout for your email, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, you have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. Danielle Bell
has left the meeting.
Mr. Patton, can you hear me? Mr. Patton, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
And Mr. Van Winkle is here. Hold on. Mr. Van Winkle, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay. And you're here from the Mystic Seaport?
Yes, we're Mr. Van Winkle and my name's David Patton, Patten. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of the Mystic Seaport Museum, and we're here to essentially update the personal property listing of equipment that's in 5 of the houses. Would you like me to give a 2-minute explanation of why we're asking for this appeal?
Yes, that would be perfect. This is Steve Palmer, and Gisela, Karen, and Pam are also board members, and we're here to listen to your appeal.
And can I interrupt?
Okay, well,
can I interrupt for a second? I didn't get Mr. Van Winkle's first name.
My name is Tom Van Winkle, and I'm the director of Williams Mystic.
Thank you.
So as you may or may not know, the Mystic Seaport Museum has an arrangement where we essentially rent 5 or 6 houses and some facilities to Williams College for the Williams Mystic program, which Mr. Van Winkle is the director of. Recently, the 5 houses that are used for student housing were designated by the OPM in Hartford as taxable. So obviously the Mystic Seaport Museum is a nonprofit, as is Williams College. But this is a recent change in the last year or two where any student housing with fewer than 20 students in each building is not considered a dormitory and not tax exempt. So we are paying taxes on the 5 houses that are used exclusively by Williams College. They're owned by Mystic Seaport Museum, but used exclusively by Williams College for students. And in addition to paying taxes on the houses, we are paying taxes on personal property within the houses. There was an error, and I'm not sure how it came to be, but there was an error in the property listing that was used for the assessment. It was property that is actually kept in the laboratory building, which is another facility that Williams College uses. that personal property is very different in nature. It's laboratory equipment. It's not the personal property that is in the homes that are used for student residences. So we're asking tonight for your consideration of updating the personal property listing for the houses, for the personal property that's actually in the 5 houses. And I've provided, and I think Adele has forwarded you a 5-page document with a list, an itemized list of the property in each house. There are 5 houses involved, so it's 1 house per page. And there's an itemized list of the property that's in there and the fair market value of each of the items and a total for each house. So our request is that we can update the property listing for the houses so that it's accurate and reflects the tax assessment reflects the actual property that's in the houses. Tom, would you like to add anything?
Dave, I think that pretty much covers it. Just one beat further on the error that was made in terms of the assessment. There was a 2017 assessment document used for the Science Center, which houses all of our science lab equipment and aquaria and so on. And so that's none of that equipment is in our student residences. So it's an apples and oranges kind of comparison.
Right. So Adele, does the board have the 5-page document that we sent to you and Marcia?
That is the one with the printouts of chairs, desks, dishwasher, etc.
Yes, it's a blue and white. It's a PDF, 5-page PDF with essentially blue tables of listings of chairs, desks, appliances, and so forth.
They do have a copy of it. It's not blue. Yours is not in color, board members, but they do have it.
Okay, so that's what we're referring to. That list is accurate and fully reflects the property that's in each of the 5 houses. And you'll see the name of the house on the top of your document. Mallory, Kemble, Albion, Johnston, and Carr. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope the request is clear that this is the complete listing of the property that's in the houses, and the tax should be based on this list, not what was in there previously.
Okay. Is there any other requests on this appeal?
Not from the Seaport or Williams College.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. Gisela, Karen, or Pam, does anybody have a question?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, we will take a look at that. We're making our decisions and next week, and several weeks after that, we'll get out in the mail the results of our decisions.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you for your service to Stonington at this late hour of the day.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You all have a good night.
All right.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
David Patton
has left the meeting.
Tom Van Winkle
Has left the meeting.
Okay, so we've got a total of 3 no-shows. We'll see if any of them call tomorrow.
They were all so close together, it seemed like a lot.
I know it. It was out of 6, 3 of them. The first 6 appointments didn't show. Okay, so
The time to make a motion?
I think so, unless there's anything you want to discuss about any of these at this moment.
I move that we adjourn.
We'll second that.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Or talk to you tomorrow.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Talk to you tomorrow.
But we'll talk to everybody else.
Yeah.